Well, it appears that the Detroit Lions are doing their due diligence on all available options at the trade deadline as far as guys that can come in and help the Detroit Lions and their lackluster pass rush, because that is exactly what we're going to call it. We did sign Isaiah Thomas from the Bengals practice squad yesterday, and he is a one-sack guy. He has one sack in his entire career, has not taken a snap in the NFL since 2022. And I thought that this guy was 100% off the table. I'm actually very surprised by this simply because of what is following this individual. All the stuff that we've gone over in the multiple videos about this individual. But I guess the Detroit Lions are like, we're going to do our due diligence and you're just going to have to trust us, which I do. I really do, especially when it comes to things that we can't see, like what is going on behind the scenes. We talked about the individual of Haason Reddick, and according to Jeremy Fowler, the Detroit Lions have reached out. This is coming from ESPN. There was a question about, is there an edge rusher on the trade market who could help the Lions who just lost Aiden Hutchinson? Here's what Fowler had to say. Fowler said, I can think of a highly productive edge rusher who has averaged nearly 13 sacks per season since 2020, a player who hasn't been on the field all season because he's disgruntled with his current team out of the greater New Jersey area. Haason Reddick would be an obvious player the Lions can inquire about. Here's the key. And I've been told that they have reached out. Reddick's recent hiring of Drew Rosenhaus, who is known for getting deals done expeditiously, could improve his chances of either staying with the Jets or facilitating a trade. Multiple teams have long believed the Jets have no choice but to cut ties eventually, and Detroit will be smart to at least attempt a deal. Here is the key. I've been told they've reached out. Now, these guys are legitimate insiders. They have inside information. Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, Mike Garafalo, Adam Schefter, all they do is break news. That's it. That's their whole existence, is break news leaked by inside sources. Not to, be disrespectful to those guys. They help me tremendously. And I'm sure they do other things as well, but you know what I mean. So if Jeremy Fowler or any of the guys that I mentioned say something, what they've been told, I believe it. I am completely shocked by this because this seems like a move that the Detroit Lions wouldn't entertain. We talked about the off the field issues that don't involve him directly, but he was accused, or his dad was accused of bringing Haason's muscle to a deal gone wrong. And then you got the stuff. And of course, that stuff has nothing to do with football. It could be true. It could be untrue. And I'm sure the Detroit Lions have people doing diligence on that. And would that be enough to stop them from trading for a guy like Haason Reddick? The holdout. That's something that doesn't seem like the Detroit Lions would do. If the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell said the other day that, not the other day, but several months ago, that if you are playing for a contract, you don't belong on the team. That's not the kind of guys they want. So for a guy to be holding out, I'm actually surprised that the Lions have reached out. That tells me a couple things. That tells me that we may be desperate. That also tells me that Brad Holmes might be to the point where he's willing to think outside the box. Because we have built through the draft, and I said this in a previous video, people use the term mortgaging the future. I think that's the wrong term. I think selling the farm for an individual is the better term. Mortgaging the future is simply, to me, means investing. It means investing in your future. If you mortgage the future, how many people have mortgages on their home? Eventually, they own their home or they decide to move and get a mortgage. You're investing in something. That's what mortgaging the future means to me. Selling the farm, however, that's giving up. That's the forget those picks. That is a sell the farm type move. But let me ask you this. If selling the farm gets you a championship, would you take it? Would you take it? But that's for a different video. But Haason Reddick being potentially on the Detroit Lions radar is a bit of a surprise to me simply because of the ongoing saga that has been going on with this guy. But Dan Campbell said today that the Detroit Lions are basically exploring all options, that Brad Holmes is on the phone. Monday, it seemed like maybe they were just recovering from Aiden or dealing with that aftermath, but it seemed like they weren't interested in anybody. that they got their guys. Then today, according to Dan Campbell's press conference, it seems like they're very interested in putting in a plug-and-play individual. Now, again, Haason Reddick has not played all season long. Now, here is a bit of something that I could see. There's so many layers to a Haason Reddick trade. But let's look at it like this. Haason Reddick wanted a new deal. But people change, opinions change, thought processes change. He wanted a new deal. He was traded with the impression he was going to have that deal with the New York Jets. Well, okay, Haason Reddick is losing money. He's lost over $5 million. And according to my math, his new team is only committed to paying him approximately $10 million of his $14.25 million salary. He has lost over $4 million in game checks by simply not playing. So if I'm Haason Reddick, am I saying, well, I'm playing for the Jets. I didn't get that new deal, all right? Because I think the ball is obviously in the Jets' court. I think it's in Haason's court as well. Let me tell you why. Haason Reddick is essentially in a contract year. He's running out of time to prove his worth beyond this year. Maybe he doesn't want to sit out an entire year. And he's going to lose value. Believe that. Nobody's going to sign this guy for what he's looking for, and he didn't play for an entire season. The last time that happened was Le'Veon Bell, to what I know. It could have happened before, but it never works out. It never works out. If you sit out a year, it does not work out. Okay? And if it has, put it in the comment section. Who was the last person that sat out a year that worked out, signed a lucrative deal, and wind up panning out? Or they wind up signing a lower. His price drops. Not only what he's getting paid this year, but his stock is plummeting because he is not going to have any tape. People are not going to think he's, I don't know, maybe they don't think he's in shape, but he is playing for what he thought he was going to do. He thought he was going to get traded and the Jets were going to sign him to a new deal. But he's running out. His leverage is, with every passing week, is running out. That's why he hired Drew Rosenhaus. Now, here's another thing about Drew Rosenhaus. I don't know if he has anybody that he represents on the Detroit Lions. I don't know if there's anybody on our team that's represented by him. You guys look it up if you want. I'm not sure Drew has the best relationship with the Detroit Lions. I feel like Drew used to represent Ndamukong Suh back in the day. I feel like that's the last time that Drew had one of his players on the team. So I'm surprised overall that, again, I believe this thing, if it's coming from any of the guys that I mentioned, I believe what they say, because I would say not. The only thing I've ever seen not work out is if one of those guys said it was going to happen was when Adam Schefter said that Antonio Brown had been traded to the Bills. That was the only thing. If they say something, it usually passes. So I believe this 100%. I am shocked, surprised, and I would not be surprised, but let me kind of loop around because there's so many thoughts here. Haason Reddick also knows this. The Jets are not going anywhere. You're in the AFC. Yeah, you got Devontae Adams. And again, somebody else in this article says that with the Devontae being on the team, that they're probably going to move on from Haason Reddick. They're also going to probably move on from Mike Williams. But Haason Reddick has to know, especially after we mollywopped the Dallas Cowboys, that we mean business. So not only he has a chance to play for a contender, but also showcase his talents for his payday. So what would that mean for the Detroit Lions? Now, the issue is if Haason Reddick if the Jets want a third, we don't have a third for 2025. So if Haason Reddick is traded, if we trade for Haason Reddick, we are trading for potentially a loaner, at this point, a 10-game, no, it'll be a 9-game loaner. Haason Reddick at this point with no extension will be a loaner. Or could he say, you know what? I've lost enough money. You guys are serious. I see the future. I'll sign with an extension in mind, and the numbers are agreed upon before he gets here. Lions do that. If Haason Reddick does come, again, when it comes to character and all that stuff, I don't have to deal with the guy. I don't have to deal with him. He's the Lions' problem. And I trust that the Lions will make the best judgment. We passed on Jalen Carter for whatever reason. he wasn't a fit. If Haason Reddick is not a fit, he won't come here. That I do trust that. And I trust that if he does come here, he's not going to be a problem. That's it. Because y'all say I don't trust Brad Holm and trust the process. I 100% trust the process. All I'm saying is, again, sometimes you got to open the door and walk outside the box. At least look outside and see what's out there. All right? So let me know your thoughts. Do you believe that there's any legitimacy to this? After everything we've gone through or seen with Haason Reddick, would you want him part of the team? Now, I know what you guys are going to say, as well as the role that he plays. He is a rush the passer guy. All right. The Lions could use somebody at the Sam linebacker position as well. So I don't know. We shall see. I think this is very interesting. And my thoughts might have changed a little bit from Monday's video. It was yesterday's video when we brought in Isaiah Thomas. I can't say that name without thinking of basketball, but my opinion might have changed a little bit because Brad Holmes has done things this season that I didn't ever think he was going to do. He is not cheap. He's just selective of who he gives money to. One thing that was confirmed along with the extension of St. Brown and specifically Penei Sewell is that if he drafts you, he gon' cash you, right? He's going to cash you out. So those things, and he's going to give you that money that you were looking for. Did it with Aleem last night. What he hasn't done, though, is bring in, there's the defensive line, the neglect is there. It's quite obvious now. It seems like every single guy who's gone down on our team is on the defensive line. We lost Pecco. We lost Hutch. We lost Davenport. And we've lost John Kaminsky, who has to come back at some point. So I think this might be the year, especially after hearing Dan Campbell. Maybe there is something different to Brad. But what I did yesterday is just temper my expectations because I'm tired of getting my hopes up. That's the bottom line. And like I said yesterday, regardless, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be making videos. I'm going to be watching the games. I'm going to be going. I'm going to be driving. I'm going to be flying. All that stuff to go see the Detroit Lions, no matter what happens, right? So let's see what goes on, man. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. At this point, would you take Haason Reddick? For a loaner, anything like that? I am very interested in your response. Also, don't forget about the Green Gridiron, what's going on now. You already know the drill. It'll be linked in the pinned comments. And remember, this channel is brought to you by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.